If you live in a studio apartment, you might be operating under the belief that a dark and moody decor style is off the table for you. The table that you likely don't have because your studio is probably too small for one, like mine was. But just because your studio apartment might be too small for a dining table doesn't mean that it's too small for a dark decor style. It just takes some good styling choices to make it look cute rather than cramped. Little kitty, oh hello. So in this video, I'm going to give you some tips on how to make your studio apartment, or really any small space, into a dreamy, moody, dark oasis, rather than a dungeon, unless you're into that. So drawing upon my experience living in a studio apartment for 5 years, which definitely leaned on the dark, moody side of things, these tips are basically just going to be based on how my mind operates when it comes to achieving this look in a studio. And really, there are so many ways to make any style work in a small apartment. I'm still in the process of decorating my own apartment with a dark and moody style, especially my bedroom. Like, that's still not quite where I want it to be yet. I just haven't found the right pieces yet, and I'm being very picky. So I get that this look is not easy in an apartment. Even though I think I have a knack for interior styling, there's always so much to learn about this art. And in the spirit of this never-ending learning quest, I'm excited to share that this video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives, and they have thousands of classes led by industry experts across design, illustration, film, productivity, and more. Skillshare can help you take your career, hobbies, and even your interior styling to a whole new level. Like, as an interior design nerd, I love that Skillshare has so many classes about interior design with categories like styling your space, printing and sewing your own cushion, and decorating with plants. And with the cozy fall season in the air, I can't help but feel those back to school vibes, you know? Even if our school days may be far behind us, our learning days never stop. I've personally been wanting to learn about the science of color and how to make different color combinations work well in a space, even though my color preferences definitely tend to be on the dark side. And this class I'm taking, called How to Use Color in Interior Design, Color Psychology and Theory, is such a great way to learn how to consciously use color in a way that works not only for my space, but also for my unique brain. It is fascinating. And right now, the first 500 people to use the link in my description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, so you can start improving your space and expanding your mind with all kinds of interesting classes today. So head to the link in the description to get your free month trial, and thank you to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. And if you're new here, my name is Steffi, and this is Hilo, and on this channel, I talk about small apartment styling tips, cozy living, and the joys of living alone. So if you're into that, consider subscribing and giving this video a like. So a key thing about decorating in any style, but especially dark decor, is you have to commit. You really have to go all the way with your styling choices instead of half-assing them. And I get why half-assing decor choices in a small space might feel more intuitive than being bold. Because when you're working with limited square footage, your first instinct might be to dial it back. And with some decor choices in this style, a lighter touch is the right way to go. But don't confuse a light touch with half-assing things. If you make styling choices from a place of insecurity and fear, then your hesitation will show. It's a recipe for your apartment decor to end up looking underwhelming. And dark decor is anything but underwhelming. It is an inherently dramatic style, so be a drama queen about it. And this is not to say to make big, bold, dramatic choices just for the sake of it. What I'm saying is don't let the smallness of your studio dictate how dramatic you can be. Because if you wanted to, you could probably paint every wall and ceiling black, and guess what? It would probably look good, honestly. At the end of the day, styling choices made from a place of conviction rather than fear will only help you make your small space feel more expansive. It's not darkness that will make your studio feel small, it's half-assed decor decisions that'll make it feel small. Don't make yourself small just because your space is. And a good example of this is this studio featured in Apartment Therapy. This studio is really going for it. With a full-blown gallery wall, dark paint, wallpaper, this place is just dripping with dark decor personality. And frankly, all this stuff it has going on doesn't make the space look any smaller than it would with any other style. Now, a case could be made that it looks a bit cluttered and maybe even a little messy, but that aspect doesn't have anything to do with the dark aesthetic in here. If anything, it's more of an untamed maximalism that's giving a little bit of a cluttered look, not darkness. And one thing you definitely can't say about this space is that its styling was half-assed. This is some full-assed styling, and whether you like it or not, this person allowed themselves to truly fill this space. They didn't make themselves small for it. And that's what I want you to take away from this example. If you love the dark decor style and you really want to have it at its fullest in your studio, then you have to commit. Next, I want to remind you that darkness doesn't have to mean black. There's an entire rainbow of darkness to play with here. Dark forest green, charcoal gray, plum, or even a deep mustard. These colors each offer a different mood and energy. For example, a dark, grounded green can make your space feel earthy and lush, like a forest at dusk, while a soft charcoal can feel like a day at the lake on a cloudy day. And a dusty lavender or plum can practically wrap your studio in a warm, velvety hug. The beauty of these darker shades outside of black is that they can bring a lot of warmth and dimension to a room. And just like that, your studio feels like a cozy sanctuary rather than a gloomy cave. Unless you're into that. My point here is to remind you that other shades in the dark spectrum exist. You can build a palette that feels warm, inviting, and multidimensional while still conveying a moody aesthetic. And a perfect example of this is this real-life studio apartment. Notice how there is really hardly any black in here at all, but this is an undeniably dark and moody space. It all comes down to a pretty masterful use of dark and muted colors, like the dusty pink in the wallpaper and dresser, the plum bedspread, and even the light bluish gray paint on the walls. Even though it isn't dark, it conveys a moody vibe. This just goes to show that there are so many ways to do this style that have nothing to do with black. And also, notice how she's made bold, dramatic decor choices in her little studio. Does this make it look smaller? Nope. She committed to a vision and didn't half-ass it. And it's only benefiting her studio, not taking away from it. Now, when playing with this rainbow of darkness, another thing to keep in mind is, well, the normal rainbow. Interrupting your dark decor with moments of contrast, like a pop of bright color or even white, can actually enhance the overall mood and make your styling feel even more dynamic. And contrast like this adds depth and dimension to things that a studio apartment or any kind of small space can always use more of. Without contrast, a dark decor room can look like everything's just sort of blending together. Kind of like if you were watching a movie shot entirely at night outside and there are no stars or streetlights. Everything just gets lost in the dark and there's just not much to watch. But when you interrupt that darkness with little bursts of light, you create these focal points that give the eye a place to rest and simply help tell the story more clearly. These moments of contrast can add visual depth and make the darker elements feel more intentional. Think about contrasty decor pieces like punctuation marks in the overall sentence that is your studio. They don't overwhelm the main idea, but they help it make sense and keep it interesting. Like with this studio apartment, you can see that the overall moody vibe is punctuated with quite a bit of white. In fact, in this particular case, the black walls are doing most of the heavy lifting when it comes to the dark decor look here. But even beyond that, there's plenty of moody drama conveyed through their choices of wall art, lighting, and accessories. But the role that white plays in this studio is undeniable. Does it take away from the moodiness of the space? No. If anything, it heightens it and adds dimension to it. This space is dramatic, yet it has an effortless simplicity about it. Now, that effortlessness was probably created with a lot of effort and skill on this person's part, so don't think I'm saying that creating a space like this is easy. But there is a certain no muss, no fuss elegance to this studio, and the white punctuating the dark throughout the space definitely contributes to that elegance. So when decorating your studio or small apartment of any kind in the dark decor look, think about how you can punctuate that darkness with those little contrasty decor moments. And you'll find that it only adds dimension and depth to your space, which, like I said, a small space is always in need of. Now, we've been talking a lot about color in this video, which makes sense, but a dark and moody aesthetic can be accomplished through so much more than just dark colors. Because beyond color, a dark, moody, dramatic look can be achieved through things like subject matter, atmosphere, and just like that overall intangible vibe of your space. For example, imagine a piece of artwork that's mostly in light tones, maybe cream, beige, or white, but the subject matter is emotionally heavy. A painting of a stormy seascape, a portrait with a melancholic gaze, or an abstract piece that feels maybe unsettling or introspective. These types of pieces convey mood and darkness through emotion and narrative, not just color. Even though the palette might be light, the energy of the piece contributes to that moody, atmospheric feeling. The sense that there's more going on beneath the surface can create depth and intrigue in your studio. That's really the essence of dark decor. It's not necessarily just about what things look like, but what they feel like. It's a very emotional style. And this makes this style very attainable for apartment dwellers. Because without even touching a drop of paint, we can still evoke this style in smaller, more flexible ways through subject matter. A great example of this is this studio apartment, which aside from bold, beautiful wallpaper choices, conveys a dark, moody vibe in ways that have nothing to do with color, especially with her wall art. Sure, these pieces are definitely dark in color, but I would say their mood comes through their subject matter. They largely convey a sense of melancholy or yearning while also giving dark academia. I'm not necessarily saying that dark decor has to feel sad, but it definitely doesn't hurt. And the lighting piece she chose for above her bed gives off a spooky, haunted look. The subject matter of twisty, barren branches give off that mood. And I have to point out that her entryway is exquisite. It really exemplifies my last tip, actually, about interrupting darkness with pops of contrast. See how her moody entryway is punctuated by this bright mustard chair? Divine. But even aside from a beautiful use of dark colors, a lot of the moodiness in this studio is conveyed through subject matter. So all in all, just remember that this look goes a lot deeper than just colors. And this pretty seamlessly transitions into my final tip, which is all about the sheer power accessories possess. If I haven't made this clear already, I firmly believe that you can create a dark, moody style in a studio apartment without touching a drop of paint. Because let's be real for a second. Painting your walls black, that is a commitment. And that might not be the good kind of commitment that I was talking about in my first tip. Like, your landlord might not be thrilled with the idea of painting your walls black. And even if your landlord does allow it, painting even a single wall black in an apartment is an exhausting task. I know this from experience. But luckily, I also know from experience from my former studio that accessories really can do the heavy lifting to achieve this look. Think of things like throw pillows, blankets, wall art, and decorative objects. These things are small but mighty and capable of completely transforming the look of your space with minimal effort. These smaller accents are renter friendly, and you can switch them out easily if you want to update your look or change things up seasonally. And wall art is another powerful way to bring in that dark aesthetic, as we saw with the last studio I mentioned. And the best part is wall art is temporary, movable, and usually landlord friendly, depending on how big of an asshole your landlord is. And smaller decorative objects can also play a big role. Think candle holders in dark metals, vintage vases, crystals. These objects may seem minor, but together they build a cohesive look that feels just as dramatic as a black wall, but without the commitment or the exhausting effort. So if you want to bring some dark, moody energy into your studio, but you can't or you don't want to paint your walls black, then just accessorize the hell out of it, like I did with my studio. My accessories carried this dark decor look on their backs. And I know I give my studio apartment as a visual example a lot in my videos, but honestly, guys, it is so hard to find studio apartments on the internet that also happen to have a dark, moody style. Most people simply don't do dark decor in their studio, and most people don't put their apartments out on the internet, so I had to really scrounge for this one. So I will continue to act as a representative for dark decor in small apartments. while still scrounging the internet for visual examples that help me assert my dark agenda. So those were my tips on creating a dark, moody decor look in a studio apartment or really any small space. Ultimately, just remember that just because your space is small doesn't mean your personality has to be small. And if you want some more studio apartment inspiration that's kind of in the same vein of taking a style that is commonly thought of to be not studio apartment friendly, then you should watch this video, which is all about incorporating maximalism into a studio apartment. So give that a watch next. Right, kitty? We want some moody, dark decor vibes up in here, always. Right, meow. Dark decor, right, meow. Dark decor, right, meow.